It was promoted as the single largest gathering of secular people in history, a rally on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., a statement to America and the world that the non-believer has a voice and deserves to be heard. March 24th, 2012 would be a day that actually celebrated what is arguably the most misunderstood and most maligned demographic in the country, the atheist. March 23rd, I was traveling by myself with a video camera and a tripod, made the trip from Oklahoma to Dulles International. I rolled some video here and there, wondering what to expect. Wondering if anybody else on my plane was going to the rally. Wondering if this guy sitting in front of me would ever know the back of his head would be seen by tens of thousands on the internet. Wondering just how many people that brushed past me at the airport were there just for the Reason rally. I didn't have a VIP pass or backstage access, no speaking slot or vendor booth, nothing like that. I was just going to be a part of it. I'd hoped I might get to meet some people from the Thinking Atheist community. Maybe I'd bump into one or two who might recognize the t-shirt and say hey. But on that Saturday, in the rain, with the secular and the religious world watching, would anybody show up? I can tell you there's no feeling like it. Standing shoulder to shoulder with people who get it, who aren't standing in judgment of you because you have a mind of your own, who join you in the rejection of the irrational, the false, the destructive, and the just plain crazy, and who cheer scientists and rationalists and educators the way others cheer for musicians and movie stars. It was amazing. Right there on stage, speaking loud and proud against superstition, people like Adam Savage, Tim Minchin, Dan Barker, Greta Christina, Jessica Ahlquist, Richard Dawkins, and so many others who have inspired this secular community. I was struck by the diversity of the crowd. All colors, all shapes and sizes, personalities and backgrounds, individuals, couples, families, friends, and everybody seemed to be smiling, mingling, connecting, having a good time. Well, almost everyone. Despite the crowd and the long commute and the rain, these people were obviously genuinely glad to be there. There was laughter everywhere. Loud, irreverent, genuine, contagious laughter. People brought homemade signs and they held them up high, and total strangers would walk up to them and just ask to take pictures, including me. I met some of the best, sweetest, friendliest, funniest people. Oh yeah, and I also met Jesus. And then there were the t-shirts, hundreds of them, loaded with sacrilegious punchlines and hysterical pictures. The whole rally was populated with these wearable billboards that made you laugh and made you think. The protesters showed up just like we expected. I never saw the Westboro crowd there, but several other people said they showed up. Now, the protest I saw was a really small group camped out just off Madison, holding up signs and warning us all that we were all going to hell unless we repented. There was some spirited debate, but nothing got out of hand. Everything was totally civil. And DC's finest had no cause to intervene. Oh yeah, I mentioned I'd hope to run into one or two people from the Thinking Atheist community. I didn't meet one or two. I met dozens and dozens of them. It was amazing, gratifying, humbling to have these people just walk up to me and say thanks. I was stunned by this outpouring of support and goodwill, and I tried to remind them, just as I remind you now, that you are the lifeblood of the Thinking Atheist community. It is you who deserves the thanks. By 5:30, after 9 straight hours, my feet were tired, my voice was gone, my camera gear was wet from the blowing rain, and I retreated back to the hotel. I was exhausted, feeling like I had just participated in something really important. I spent the whole evening with this big stupid smile on my face, randomly bumping into people I recognized in the hotel lobby and shamelessly begging them for photos. Everywhere I went, I had this palpable awareness that I was among friends. And if you'll forgive the cliche, it felt like coming home. Apparently, the Reason Rally got some media coverage, but I checked the major networks and didn't see anything on TV. How could tens of thousands of non-religious people make a statement on the National Mall in D.C. and nobody care? But there were some articles here and there, nothing major, certainly nothing noticeable. If this wasn't newsworthy, what was? Maybe I just missed it, but from my own perspective, it seemed like journalists and reporters had taken their cameras elsewhere. And even today, I can't help but wonder why. Ultimately, though, the Reason Rally was everything I'd hoped it would be, and so much more. It was about the value of living honestly. It was about education and science and common sense. It was about protecting our politics and our science textbooks from fairy tales and fantasy. It was about connection and community. It was about people, tens of thousands of people, secular human beings who came together to represent an even larger group of secular men, women, and young people, looking each other in the eye and reminding each other it's okay to be skeptical, to be an individual, to be comfortable in your own skin, to live your life honestly, to follow the facts wherever they lead, to speak out against ignorance, dogma, deception, and hate, to stand up for reason. I'm so glad I was just a tiny, tiny part of the Reason Rally, and I hope my own limited perspective gives you at least some hint of what that day was like. Oh yeah, I just have to share this. Before I went back home, I was given the privilege of a rather memorable handshake, an amazing finish to an amazing event. Now, I'm sure Richard Dawkins would never remember that brief encounter in the hotel lobby, but as his books and lectures have been so instrumental in my own journey, I can assure you, that is a moment I will never forget. Just imagine, as humankind evolves, if we could all find the clarity and the courage to see our world through the eyes of reason. Imagine how high we might go.